Welcome back to Newsmaker Live with me, Kendall Burton. We're joined now in studio by Genevieve Wendy Bailey, a representative of Lynchburg College, now in St. Lucia. Welcome to Newsmaker Live.
Thank you very much.
Let's start by talking a little bit about the history of Lynchburg College. Who or what is Lynchburg College?
Lynchburg College is it's a liberal arts college. It was started in 1903. That's a long time ago. They really offer more or less undergraduate programs. Recently, they introduced about 11 master's programs and 2 doctoral programs. It's a wonderful place to be, a really nice campus, I can tell you, because
You are a graduate of Lynchburg College.
I am a graduate, and actually I'm still a student at Lynchburg College.
Okay.
I am pursuing presently doctoral studies in educational leadership, a couple months away from graduating, so I am ABD, yay! I'm excited and can't wait to finish off so I can actually start work at that level.
Tell us about your experience with Lynchburg College.
That's a great question, and I need to explain that to you by first telling you about Lynchburg College's history in St. Lucia. So it all started when, maybe about 2003, when the ministry invited, well, it was a Peace Corps volunteer who was on island when the ministry started talking about, okay, we need to start training people in the area of special education. And he had the brilliant idea to call on some of his colleagues from LC, because he's a past student of LC as well. And so those persons came in and had a special ed workshop in St. Lucia. That was very successful, and so in 2006 thereabout, we had the ministry sort of in collaboration with the World Bank conducted a 3-year, that is 3 consecutive summers of courses, 9 credits each summer, where students or teachers were able to attain a certificate in special education. Of course, the offer was made to us where, you know, those of you who wish to continue to go on to the degree may visit or come to Virginia to complete. And about 11 students did so. And so we had those students attaining bachelor's degrees and 11 of them going on to attain master's degrees. So that is how my role in Lynchburg College, that's how it started. Of course, Lynchburg College went on to train another 35, I think it was 25 counselors, went on to do a lot of in-service training with teachers. Students from LC came in, did a number of, we trained, or should I say assessed, about 300 and something students. That's health-wise and developmentally. So they've done quite a bit of work in St. Lucia over the past 10 years.
What sort of programs do you offer?
We are beginning in January with 2 programs. These are bachelor's degrees in special education as well as elementary education with an emphasis in reading. Now, persons who choose to do special education can also minor in elementary education. So it's almost like, you know, 2 for the price of 1. So that is what we plan to offer in January. In summer, we are going to be doing masters in educational leadership, in reading, where you don't just do reading, but you get licensure as a reading specialist. We also offer, of course, the masters in special education, which is my love. You're going to be hearing me talking a lot about that because that is my area of focus. We have a masters in criminal justice, and that is really for mid to upper level professionals in law enforcement, in social services, in the legal system, those persons who wish to pursue master's level training. So that program is for them. And to me, one of the most interesting programs that we offer is a master's in nursing. That program and that program alone is totally online. And we move nurses from being RNs, which is registered nurses, to the master's in nursing, which is mostly an administrative program. How that came about is that in the US, they were finding that there were not enough nurses at the master's level. Most of the nurses were at the RN level and the bachelor's level, so they were trying to move them up. So what it is that RNs come, you need to have, of course, experience as a registered nurse. You come in, you do a couple bridge courses to bring you up to the bachelor's level. You don't get a bachelor's degree, but that makes you ready to do the master's program, which is another 37 credits. So I think this is quite attractive to the nurses.
Okay. What are some of the features or characteristics of the college that sets it apart from other educational institutions?
I think in a couple magazines that we have, including the New York Times, it talks about Lynchburg College being a college that changes lives. And that did not come from just persons looking at the college and saying, wow. It came from alumni, it came from persons in the surroundings, it came from persons going out to work and giving their experiences of how Lynchburg College has made them into somebody different. And so we pride ourselves in saying that we are among the top colleges that change lives. Also, I'm just speaking from experience. Having gone to Lynchburg, and especially on campus in Virginia, I have now come to appreciate things a little bit more and see things with a wider lens, as opposed to remaining in St. Lucia and just working with what we have. I'm definitely better able to appreciate a lot more, and certainly my life has been changed.
Isn't that what college life is supposed to do generally?
Yes, yes it is. But I must also put in the human aspect, and that's another way that Lynchburg College markets itself. There is definitely the human touch, and I wish that, well, if other persons were here tonight, they would tell you how persons, and again, the logo for the college is above and beyond. And I mean, lecturers, staff members certainly go above and beyond to make, especially the international students, feel very welcome at the institution. I mean, if I have to start naming and talking about the things that people actually do, you'd be amazed.
Okay. The persons in St. Lucia who are interested in studying with Lynchburg College, do they necessarily have to travel to Virginia, or is there a physical facility here at which they can begin their courses?
Yes, there is. Actually, we are located at the Hasashi building. Now, when I say Hasashi, it appears that a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about the former it's the FDL building, FDL Consults. That's over in Goodlands, Castries, heading down to Cul-de-sac. And if I could explain it further, it is the building formerly which housed the Peugeot car sellers. I'm sure everybody will know that when I say it. So this is where we are presently, and we will be occupying the second floor, the entire second floor of that building. And so this is where our campus is going to be located. Presently, we occupy office space on the top floor.
Okay. What's your capacity like?
We are hoping to begin with 2 classes in January, classes of, we're looking at the maximum. Another thing for us is that we like the one-on-one and small teacher-student ratios. So we're looking at 15 individuals per class. We're hoping not to go above that. If other persons come, of course, we're not going to turn them away, but we're hoping to be able to stick with those numbers.
It's an optimal number.
Yes, yes.
In terms of online options, if I begin a course here, I have to travel for whatever reason, can I continue the course online, or do I have the option of continuing in Virginia?
Certainly, you have the option. For example, I've been in my communication with people, I've been telling them that if you wish to begin the program here and finish it off in Virginia, that's great. If you wish to begin it in Virginia and finish it off in St. Lucia, that's also workable. We are not, one thing about LC is that they pride themselves in the human interaction, and online learning, though there's a small aspect of that for the college, but a lot of them would like to remain the traditional face-to-face. So if peradventure somebody happens to miss one of the courses, you have the option, and we're trying not to sell that too much, but you have the option to do that course as an individual study. So it's you and the professor doing that course outside of the cohort, outside of the group of students who will be doing the program with you.
Let's talk money. What are tuition
Yes.
fees like, and what sort of financial aid or assistance options are there?
Tuition is, again, your complete tuition would be based on how many courses you have to do.
Right.
Because what it is, and what I have to explain to everyone, is that we are not a complete 4-year degree institution in St. Lucia. We're a completers program. So what it is, you have to come in with some kind of college credit already. So for example, I'll talk about the teachers. Persons coming into us to pursue probably the reading program or the special education program come in already with either some kind of diploma or a teaching certificate. So what happens is approximately 60 to 70 credits will transfer over because they have recognized Sir Arthur Lewis and UE's program. So that transfers over. So what we do is give you the remaining 60 or 64 because an undergrad is 124 credits. So we provide you with that. So it all depends on the number of credits you come with. We charge $258 US dollars a credit. Okay, and you may be needing give or take plus or minus about 60 or 64 credits thereabout, considering that you're coming in with college credits already.
Okay.
And I need to mention though that we have a ridiculously low tuition for St. Lucian students who wish to study in Virginia. And that is what the 14 of us who have gone to Lynchburg have taken advantage of. What it is it's a private institution, and so regular citizens pay in the region of $33,000 to $35,000 US for the year. St. Lucian students, by virtue of the fact that their nationality is St. Lucian, pay between $6,500 to $7,000 for the year.
Okay.
I mean, have you ever heard that? So I tell students, if you are interested in the international experience, you need to jump on it because we don't know how long this is going to last. So, you know, when it comes to tuition, that's where we are.
Okay. I want to focus on you a little bit. You have an extensive background in education.
Yes.
Tell me how that came about.
How did that come about? Directly out of high school, it's been about 19 years. Long time. Anyway.
You just gave your age away, by the way.
I did, right? Anyway, right out of high school, secondary school, I began teaching kindergarten, and stayed there for a little while, and then I, started feeling that I needed to advance myself. And of course, Lynchburg came on the scene with their certificate in special education. And all during this time, I was mentored by a teacher, a more mature teacher, if I may mention her name, Miss Constantine, which was a wonderful lady who taught me a lot of what I knew in special education before I started. And so I, did the undergraduate degree. I also did the master's degree in communication disorders. Yes, communication disorders. That was very interesting. And then went on to LC to continue in early childhood special education. And so, of course, my love is infants, kindergarten. That's where I want to stay. But of course, when you get trained in certain areas, the responsibility falls on you to assist and train others, and also to go where the powers that be feel you would be more productive. So as a result, I ended up being at the Grocery Secondary School. And that's where I've spent the better part of my career.
But you've also written, should I say, extensively on the subject?
A bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
The strategies for teaching learners with special needs. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that is a textbook that my mentor has used. It's in its 10th edition right now. And he, along with a couple other professors that I consider guru in the field of special education, they wrote that book. Well, I came on the scene as a graduate assistant, working with him and editing other textbooks that he had written. And very, very wonderful experience. I mean, I learned a lot from that. And he said, well, Wendy, you've been an assistant editor for a long time now. Now I think it's time for you to, pick up and move a step higher. And he said, we're reviewing this book. One of the co-authors has dropped off and we need somebody to fit in. And so I had to put on my big girl shoes and use all of the education that I had received from him and assist in co-authoring the book. It was a wonderful experience. I learned a whole lot.
Okay, at this point, I want to remind our callers that they can call in, our viewers rather, that they can call in at any point if they have any questions regarding Lynchburg College, the programs offered, or any other information that you require to make a decision to study at Lynchburg. You've written a number of articles as well. What is functional about functional skills, self-determination and culture, and intervening variable, special challenges for persons with disabilities in the criminal justice system. All these very interesting topics that we probably could dedicate an entire show to. I'm specifically interested in special challenges for persons with disabilities in the criminal justice system. Tell me a little more about that. What are some of those challenges?
Well, one of the biggest things that lawyers and even persons in the criminal justice system have found is that, and that is of course a characteristic of some, not all, persons with special needs. They are very gullible. I feel bad using that term, but this is the term that has been used. And so they're easily coerced into doing anything. So a lot of times you find when persons who have special needs, and when I speak of special needs, I'm referring more to needs like mental retardation and learning disabilities, etc., not just the physical needs. Those persons are easily coerced into doing activities. And so when they go into face the law is saying that as long as the action committed by that person was a manifestation of the person's disability, then that person cannot be held liable for the crime that they've committed. And so, especially in the state of Texas, a lot of, quite a few persons who are on death row were persons who had special needs. And of course, back then, students were not diagnosed as having special needs. So one of the co-authors on there, Dr. Patton, he is a forensic specialist, and what he does is a mental retardation forensic specialist, of course. What he does is he goes into the prison, he visits the family and does a number of things of that nature to try to go back into that person's past to see if that person would have qualified as an individual with special needs based on a number of assessments and that sort of stuff. And so now he goes into the courts as an expert witness and he defends such persons, saying, well, okay, this individual is not competent to stand trial because of his special need.
Okay, we have our first call. Let's take that call. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, good evening. I'm calling because I have a question for the young lady. Do you think that St. Lucia needs more special ed teachers? Because I realize these days that not much teachers go to the special education teachers college, and I think the ministry called on for some special ed teachers. So what do you think can be done to improve the special ed program in St. Lucia?
Okay, thank you for calling.
Okay.
Thank you, caller. I must say, first of all, that special education has come a long way in St. Lucia. I mean, when I was growing up, special education was something that was unheard of. Aside from the more significant disabilities where you had Tonata, you had the other schools, the School for the Blind, or visually impaired. But special needs as it relates to the regular schools, our traditional schools. The Ministry of Education, or the government, I should say, because the question is, do I think there is a need? There's absolutely a need. Prior to universal secondary education, students who fail the common entrance, of course, they'd sit again, and if they fail, they'd go to standard 7, standard 6, and then they would exit the school system. Many of those students were, I don't want to call them illiterate, but those students were not able to do certain basic things. Now, these students are allowed, or they have a place in the secondary schools. The issue, I believe, is now more visible. So people like myself in the secondary schools, we're realizing, well, students are coming to me at my school with levels, kindergarten levels of reading, grade 1 level. I mean, if you have a student who is 15, 16, 13, performing at grade 1 and 2 levels, there is definitely need for special attention. And when I need to say, when we talk about special education, we're not just referring to students who are performing below average. We're also looking at those who are above average and who need special assistance or special accommodation. Going back to the question, the Education Act speaks to students being entitled to receive education that is appropriate to their needs. Now, you realize that a lot of those students that I spoke about earlier, and they're in certain schools, we know about it. Those students, some of them do not receive the appropriate education. They receive the general education that everybody else receives. But given the appropriate education, they would perform to their the maximum potential, as opposed to just going with the flow with everybody else. The Education Act also speaks to discrimination based on mental and physical handicaps.
Okay, we have a call. Let's take that call and then we can continue with the discussion. Hi, good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good night.
Hi.
You said that in Virginia, they realize that there's a lack of master degrees in nursing, right?
Yes.
So you'll provide the master degree program. Do you all provide the NCLEX exam in order to work in the U.S. as well?
I am not sure that I can speak to this. That is something I would have to find out and get back to you on. Of course, you can visit us at the Hisashi building in Goodlands and come in and speak with us on that, and I can have that question answered for you.
Okay. Before the call, you're making a point about discrimination.
Yes, yes. And even further on, there's a section in the Education Act called Special Education, and it speaks to students being provided with what we call in special education language an individual education plan. Now, to be able to do that, to be able to give instruction that is tailored to students' needs, to be able to give them that kind of plan, you need persons who are trained in the field. Now, of course, my personal belief is that those teachers should be stationed at the infant schools and at the primary schools, because that is where the discrimination. Well,
yeah, we have another call. Let's take that call. Good evening. You're on the air.
Yeah, good evening. I didn't get the criminal justice course. What level is it?
it's at the master's level, sir. So it is for mid to upper level professionals, like I said, who work in law enforcement, who work with the courts, or who work with social services. Yes. As I was saying before, right, we need persons who are able to give those students this individual kind of education, again, in the least restrictive environment. So we're not looking at our special schools. We are looking at our regular schools, but still being able to meet their needs as best as possible. Now, when we go to Teachers College, I don't know if it's unfortunate or fortunate, but you're taught to teach more average students, you know, and sort of those to both ends of the spectrum. We don't concentrate too much on them, and we have an influx of those students right now in the education, in our secondary education system, and we need to be able to deal with them. So hence the reason why we need persons trained in special education.
Okay, we have another call. Good evening. Okay, we lost that call. Did you complete your call?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay, we were talking about the need for special education teachers, but let's give a definition of what special education is. What is a definition for a child with special needs?
Oh, that is very broad, because like the
hold that thought.
Okay.
Good evening, call. You're on the air.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Calling regarding what you just mentioned about the need in the ministry, in the education system regarding persons who can actually screen, or persons in primary school who can actually point out who need special attention or special education plan, as she mentioned. How many persons are qualified to do that in the ministry? And also, in relation to that, what do you think is it possible for St. Lucia education system to have integrated school system for persons, for children who have special needs, or do you need a special school for these children?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Regarding your first question, the Ministry of Education has a special education unit, and that unit has put together a multidisciplinary team. So the process is a teacher observes that a child is probably having difficulty. He or she needs to administer different strategies to see maybe the child is not a visual learner, the child is an auditory learner, let me try a different skill and all of that. So the teacher does all of that within the classroom. If those things don't work, then the teacher makes a referral to the special education unit, and there's a team. That team is made up of a doctor, I think it's Dr. Bird, I'm not sure, I'm not going to call names, but it's made of a doctor, it's made of the school psychologist, it's made of a number of persons who are able to make the determination of whether that child needs an individual education plan or whether the child just needs to return to the classroom with modified instruction.
Okay, we have another call. Good evening, you're on the air.
Hi, good evening. I would just like to know whether Lynchburg would have any masters in counseling to actually practice counseling, not to teach counseling, but just to practice. Whether they have a master's in counseling. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Lynchburg College does offer a master's in counseling. We don't offer it in St. Lucia, however, but that special tuition discount would definitely go towards the master's in counseling in Virginia. And the good thing about it is that we have the master's in school counseling as well as clinical mental health counseling. Now, these two professions are distinguished in the U.S., so there's a difference with the kinds of courses that you would do if you would take either of the tracks. So definitely that program is available, but just not in St. Lucia at the moment. One of the biggest reasons for that is that Lynchburg College has taken into consideration that the culture is so different. And when you talk about counseling, the laws in the U.S. are, I mean, so many laws to deal with. And so right now they're in the process of trying to tailor what counseling would look like in St. Lucia, what clinical mental health and what school counseling would look like in St. Lucia, make it adapted to our culture, as opposed to just taking it wholesale from the U.S. and just shoving it down our throats. We don't need all those PL 388s and PL 4, all those public laws don't really appeal to us or even apply to us. However, if somebody wishes to do that, they may and get certification in counseling from the U.S. So that option is available.
I want to go further with one of the questions I asked earlier about the need for special ed teachers. One of the issues that we've had here, the Prime Minister has spoken about it countless times, is the skills gap. So to what degree were you engaged, or did you engage the government or the Ministry of Education in determining which courses to offer?
Okay,
let's take a call first.
Okay, yes.
Hi, good evening, you're on the air. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, I'm Wendy. This is Miss Constantine.
Oh, hello, Miss Constantine.
I'm very proud of you. I'm very happy to hear you. I'm listening. I'd like to congratulate you. Keep up the good work and keep doing the right things.
Thank you.
I can't regret the push.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank
again.
you. My guru. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead.
That's very nice of Miss Constantine. Anyway, I think I kind of lost my train of thought there.
We're talking about the degree of dialogue.
Right. It's been 2 years since the college has been undertaking the needs assessment for St. Lucia. Of course, this whole thing was born out of education, so naturally that is where it sprang from. as it relates to the authorities, or should I say the ministry, when it comes to what it is that we need, we were given direction, and also based on what our priority list is right now. However, when we were on the ground actually finding out from people what it is that they wanted to do and what interested them, and it was quite different.
Yeah.
It was yes, it was. I don't want to really mention the things that person spoke about, but what I found is that there is truly a disparity between what it is that people are interested in pursuing and what it is that the ministry thinks that is important for the country right now. So really and truly, we listened to the ministry to a certain extent, but we're also listening to what it is that people want. So we have a number of surveys that people fill in, and we've asked what it is that you wish to do, and persons have been responding to that. So that is how we decided, what it is that we think should be offered in St. Lucia. And I don't know about how the priority list operates in that regard, but it's what you want. It's what the market is calling for.
Okay.
So
walk us through the application process for Lynchburg College.
We have a website that you go to. You can apply. It's online. And for St. Lucian students, the application fee has been waived. Actually, every fee has been waived for students who wish to study with us, including examination fees. Everything is just one total package. So you go online, and I can provide you with that. Well, not right now, but if you come visit us or you call us, I can provide you with that link. You apply, and then you're in the system, and we take it from there.
I believe you offer visa assistance as well?
Yes, that is for students who wish to study in the U.S. After you've done the application, of course, you send in, students are asked to send in their 3 references, a career goal statement, just a short essay on that. They're also asked to send in their transcript so we can decide which courses can be waived and which courses should not be waived. And then when you've done that, then the school issues the I-20 form that you take to Barbados, and Barbados issues the visa that you use for the period of time that you will be studying with us.
What about scholarships?
We do not. The discount that we give is a scholarship
ridiculous,
in
right?
itself. Yes, it is over 80% off of what it is that regular citizens in the U.S. pay. And so it for us, it doesn't even make sense to offer that is really the scholarship that Lynchburg College has offered to St. Lucian students. And I'm telling you, we have taken advantage of it. It's very easy on your pocket.
Okay. Once students go through the training programs and graduate, does the college offer any sort of job assistance?
I wouldn't call it job assistance. You have extensive internships that you have to. For example, in my field, I had 3 different internships at 3 different kinds of institutions. I mean, that's why I said that this thing really opened my eyes, because my last placement was at a school with students who we as St. Lucians would have discarded and left at home, or probably left at the hospital. These students were on ventilators. These students had to learn how to put in catheters for students. I mean, teachers doing that. So you have that kind of internship. Every program offers a number of internships. Then afterwards, there is something called the practical training component, where students from St. Lucia or international students have the option to remain in the U.S. for 1 year after they've graduated. Now that year is a year that you are going to practice in the field that you've been trained. So additional to the internship that they're given, they also have the option. You don't need to. They have the option to undergo that training in the field. So they help. You are responsible for finding a place that you wish to work in, but you are still legal. Some students sort of like to kind of break the laws a little bit and stay in beyond the time that they're given. But this one is given to you an entire year to practice in your field.
Let's speak in general terms. Quite apart from you being here to try to convince people to apply to Lynchburg College, what are some of the reasons that you can offer for students who are on the fence, debating whether they should or not, for getting a college degree?
What can I tell them to encourage them is the question.
How important is a college degree, especially given in light of this job crisis? You may be thinking, why should I bother?
One thing I always say is that St. Lucia is a small country. Our resources are limited. And so what we really have is our human resource. And in order for us to be able to pump up or to increase our standard of living, we have to train our people. Now, you may say, okay, it's a college degree. It doesn't have to be a college degree, but it can be some kind of, professional degree. It could be, as long as our people are advancing themselves and are continuous training, I think that is what we need. And one way to do that is to get trained and probably get a degree. And definitely, we are here at Lynchburg College to assist in that regard. But as a small nation, I think it's very, very important that our young people get trained. Very, very important. 30
seconds. Any parting words, anything that you want us to know about Lynchburg College?
Well, what I can say is that we are here in St. Lucia. Our doors are open for students who wish to come in and, just find out what we're all about, find out how, we have 39 different majors offered at our institution in Virginia. So just come in and find out what it is and how Lynchburg College can work for you. We are not turning anybody away. Our doors are open, so please come.
And thank you very much, Ms. Bailey, for joining us, spending time with us. And thank you so much for watching and for calling, those of you who did. Join us next week for another edition of Newsmaker Live with me, Kendall Burton. Thank you so much for watching, and see you then.